Problem is we have a chicken who has been broody for over 21 days and her eggs are not likely to hatch. And the weather is about to get really bad. Being in Tasmania, it's supposed to snow in the next few days and she's sitting out in the open to the detriment of her own health. The process will be, we've set up a cage, we have some water in the cage for the hen, and we've got a piece of iron to put over the top to prevent any rain from getting in. We'll remove the hen from her nest, put her into the cage and leave her there for a day or so and then let her out, and hopefully it will have broken her out of her broodiness, and if it hasn't you just repeat the process and maybe leave her in there for a bit longer. In the meantime you need to remove the eggs from the nest, check that they aren't viable and destroy the nest so that she hasn't got anywhere to return to if she decides that that's what she wants to do. The most important thing about the cage is that it should have a wire bottom and it should be lifted up off the ground to allow airflow underneath the chicken, which will help break her out of the broodiness. You basically just want the chicken to be uncomfortable. Here we have some examples of cages that you could use to try and break your chook out of broodiness. As you can see, this one here, well, I don't even know what it is actually, it's just a piece of junk. It is a wire cage. You'd only need to put your bird in there. As you can see, it's raised off the ground. Just put a lid over the top of it and that would be just fine. So that's the kind of thing you can just get from the tip. This is a second-hand rabbit hutch that was gifted to me. As you can see again, raised up off the ground, it's got a wire bottom all the way through. We'll probably be using this, we'll use this one today as it's just that bit bigger and it's easier to get the bird in and out of. And another example I have over here is an old bird aviary, sort of like a budgie cage, I guess you would say it is. Also something that was just a throwaway or hand-me-down from someone who didn't want it. Again, wire floor on the bottom there. So yeah, they all have that one element in common, the wire floor, just so that the air can go underneath the hen and break her out of her broodiness. So these are the cages we're working with, but we're going to use the rabbit hutch today. One waterer. Again, this is about making the chook uncomfortable. We're not here to torture the chook, so you've just got to give her some comforts in there. She's going to be distressed when she's in the cage. She will fret for a bit, but eventually she'll calm down. But you want her to have supplies and things like that. We're just trying to do a kind thing for her. And safety first, because a chicken's beak will draw blood. And don't forget to wear old clothes. You might get covered in poo, or worse still, you might have an exploding rotten egg, which is lovely. Let's go. As you can see, this chicken hasn't picked the best spot to nest. She's out in the open. It is August in Tasmania. It is about to snow. And I think it's in her best interests if we break her out of this broodiness before she gets rained on and loses any more condition and any more weight. And she's not going to like it. Come on, girl. That wasn't too bad. Let's go. In she goes into her cage. There she is in the cage, where she'll stay until she decides she no longer wants to hatch eggs. And because Tasmanian winter weather is so unpredictable, and it is August, and it looks like it's going to rain, we'll put a bit of a cover over the top of the chook for the day, just so that if it does rain, she doesn't get wet. And we'll just weigh it down so that it doesn't blow away. So the final step in the process is to destroy the hen's nest. So we've removed all the eggs from her nest and we've moved inside because it's raining. We have a bowl of water. Water needs to be warmer than an Englishman's beer, but colder than a bath. Sort of, if you put your elbow in it and it's like baby bath temperature, that's where you want it. We're going to float test the eggs to check if they're viable and to see if they're still alive or not before we dispose of them, just to be sure. This is potentially quite dangerous, so we don't want to drop any eggs because they could explode, or they could have live chicks in them, you just don't know. So we're going to place them into the lukewarm water, one at a time, till we've got them all in there, and then let the water go still. When they're just sitting there in the water, hopefully, if there's anything still alive in the shells, it'll cause the eggs to move, so the eggs should wobble just a little bit in the water. We're hoping for wobbling, not explosions. Ooh, now that one is dangerous. That's an explosion waiting to happen. That's got them all in there. Now we'll just let them sit until they're very, very still and watch for the slightest movement in any of the eggs. And I'm not confident that any of these eggs are viable. So we found that these eggs are non-viable and dead in the shell. You'd find if there was any live chick in there, they'd be moving ever so slightly, and you would be able to remove them and put them back with the hen, and she'd keep going and hatch you some chicks with, you know, fingers crossed. But these ones are no good, so we're going to dispose of them. We're going to destroy the rest of her nest, leave her out there for the remainder of the day, let her go, she'll rejoin her flock, hopefully happily integrate again, put on some weight and start laying eggs for us. I hope you found this video helpful. Please leave some comments and like us, and we might make a few more for you. Thank you very much.